Roger Federer talks about life after tennis. Wherever historians may place Roger Federer in the tennis pantheon, he rates number one in the hearts of the athletic public for this century. For 24 years, the kinetic brilliance of Federer's game, his enthusiasm for competition, and his common touch fascinated and endeared us. He was charismatic and an athletic genius. But what made us care about him was how much we could relate to him. One of the questions on the minds of a lot of fans is, what will Roger Federer do after retirement? Recall that on Friday night, Federer played his farewell match as a professional when he and doubles partner Rafael Nadal competed for Team Europe against Jack Sock and Frances Tiafoe of Team World. Even though Federer and Nadal had match points at 9-8, the match was so close that it had to be decided by a 10-point tiebreak in the third set. However, Team World ultimately prevailed as Sock and Tiafoe won 4-6, 7-6, and 11-9. The focus seemed to be commemorating the extraordinary journey of the 41-year-old Swiss superstar, rather than on Federer's less-than-perfect fairy tale finale to his illustrious 24-year career. Federer shares his thoughts on his tennis afterlife. Federer described it as a feeling of happiness. The post-game ritual had been heartbreaking. You must have seen these pictures by now. Federer was struck with emotion and broke down while crying in front of his Laver Cup colleagues and opponents, especially Nadal. Federer added that Nadal's sobbing response struck deep. The same could be said of Andy Murray and Novak Djokovic's feelings in statements. Federer stated, "I'm glad I'm the first to go. I can't imagine how I would have felt if Andy, Novak, and Rafa had gone first. It would be different. There would be a gap in something." Since the end of the summer, Federer's retirement had been a closely kept secret. Following Wimbledon, a knee scan revealed serious issues, and Federer was left with two options: undergo yet another surgery and recovery, or move on to his next chapter. Heartbreak existed, but he could comprehend the latter. He had never intended to continue playing tennis until his mid-40s. His athletic afterlife had been foretold by time spent recovering from past ailments. Federer admitted, "I'd seen a glimpse, and it wasn't at all frightening." He'll keep working. Federer has a variety of business ventures, a charitable foundation, and a family. He and his wife Mirka have two sets of twins, Mila and Charlene, who are 13 years old, and Lenny and Leo, who are 8 years old. Federer claimed that mornings in his house in Switzerland are still lively. How loud can the kids be right off the bat is always a question. He made it clear that he didn't want to ghost in tennis. In a moving speech earlier in the week, Federer discussed the separation of Swedish icon and retired athlete Bjorn Borg from the sport. The silver-manned Borg has conspicuously returned as the Laver Cup captain and is once again mixing it up. Federer is anxious to preserve his relationship. Could there be a greater statesman for tennis? Following Federer's September 15th retirement announcement, congratulations to him for his success, fashion sense, and demeanor flooded in. He was the James Bond of tennis. This is Baryshnikov. He has a case for being its GOAT, a virtuoso expression of accomplishment and aesthetics. Depending on who you talk to, tennis fans will debate it until the end of time. At the Laver Cup, he was surrounded by players who had played him at his best, as well as admirers like the 84-year-old Rocket Rod and Stefan Edberg. Then there were the rising stars who had idolized him since they were young, including Americans Frances Tiafoe and Jack Sock, who came out on top in the finale in a tight match that required a tiebreaker to declare the winner. Federer won 20 major championships, but when the pros discuss him, they remark about the calm demeanor with which he conducted himself both on and off the court. Borg asserted, "No one is bigger than the sport itself, but what has he done for the sport globally? It's incredible. He made an everlasting impression. Will he think about coaching?" Federer asserted that he has no intention of uprooting his family and returning to the road full-time. But he liked the thought of having players come to him for quick sessions, as he did in Sydney with Australian coach Tony Roche, tweaking his game on Roche's backyard court. In particular with young players, he stated, "I'd be open to something like that." He said, "Now we only have one guy winning," he had earlier remarked. Naturally, that is not how it happened. Nadal, a youthful left-handed dynamo dressed in muscle t-shirts and capri trousers, was Federer's stylistic antithesis. The rivalry between Federer and Nadal would eventually turn into one of the sport's greatest rivalries and later, a lovely friendship. The Spaniard remarked, "When Roger departs the tour, a significant portion of my life leaves too." Federer described Nadal as forever linked to him. Sampras and Agassi were there for me at the start, so it was different for me. Despite the disparities in their playing styles, Nadal and Federer discovered as they got to know one another that they had a lot in common outside of the tennis court. Federer stated, "We were always able to maintain the rivalry through friendships, through conflicts, and come out on the other side." Nadal, who is expecting his first child with his wife Maria, has been plagued by injuries and missed competitions. Federer admitted he was always secretly happy to see Nadal play his way back to the top level, even as Nadal surpassed Federer's major count to reach 22, the current record. "As you grow older, you enjoy a rival's success more," Federer explained. "You see how much they've given. The rivalry morphs into something different than the beginning when you're just trying to beat the guy." Nobody else could have comprehended the three champions' mutual understanding of the mental and physical resources required to achieve the top and maintain it. They were a trio of trophy hoarders unlike any in the history of tennis. Federer kindly added a fourth of Murray, a former world number one who had defeated Federer in the Olympic gold match and won 2 Wimbledon titles, but whose aspirations were ultimately dashed by hip surgery and a protracted recovery process. Federer said of Murray, "Seeing him here playing, having overcome all of that, really increases his legendary stature for me." Federer stated that he would welcome more tactical variety. Faster courts, lightning courts as he called them, and tournament organizers who are tolerant of unpredictable play are requirements for bringing it back. Even if it did, there was no assurance of a serve and volley revival, so he was dubious that it would even happen. Federer added, "It's taxing. You must believe I'll sprint to the net in 2 steps like a cat. You serve not knowing if your first offering will be received or if you will walk back if you miss. It is energy that is squandered as opposed to perhaps 2/3 less energy for a missed serve if you serve and simply stand." I believe that's what began occurring Del Potro. The big guys, Johnny, would wait back and then suddenly play enormous forehands. It is less taxing on the body. Federer grinned. That is why he said, "I love young players, wherever they are." Alcaraz and Sinner enjoyed seeing these young superstars fling their bodies all over the court. Yes, because you won't be able to do it forever. Fist pump and go crazy. Federer too changed, including energy conservation, point lengthening, and even the addition of small gimmicks. Recall the sneak attack by Roger, serve returns from around 2015? Federer stated, "You have to be able to change. He couldn't continue to play the way he did in 2007, which he considers to be his peak year. You transform into a new version of yourself. I love the enormous difficulty of that." Tennis is a lifelong sport, but Federer is aware that nothing can ever match the thrill he experienced during competition. Nothing can ever compare to that Wimbledon final on Sunday or the scream of a boisterous New York City crowd during the 5th set. He has no intention of replacing it. He remarked, "This is intended to stay special in my life. I will enjoy myself in a variety of ways. There will be a fresh experience. He might eventually play pickleball." He remarked, "I would love to go to an area that offers only racket sports. You name it, table tennis, badminton, squash, pickleball, and touch tennis. That would be incredible. You could complete each one." He now has the opportunity. Federer is a non-professional. He stated, "It's almost like a new life." Roger, how do we start? It has been an honor to follow your development and see you emerge as a champion in every meaning of the word. We will miss seeing you grace our courts. What do you like most about Roger Federer? Let me know in the comments section. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch more similar videos.